Yo, Big Kev.
What's the word, gang?
Hey, it's NBA Central. We back with I don't know what part we on, but we continuing before training camp start. We continuing our predictions. Now we in the Northwest on the west side. We on the west side now. We checking on the Western Conference, and we gonna talk a little bit about it right after the music, though.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
Welcome to NBA Central. Thank y'all for tuning in for another episode. Before we get started, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and follow the rest of the Central fam. Now let's get straight into it. Like I said in the beginning in the intro, we're talking about the Northwest. I mean, that's right, Northwest or
Mm-hmm.
Northwest. And we gotta start with the champions. The champions are in the Northwest, the Denver Nuggets. They finished 53-29 last year. And to keep it quick, especially with this team, I feel like it's either going to be more or pretty much the same. Um, to just do a little recap, what was your quick recap of the whole season when it comes to the Nuggets?
I mean, getting Jamal Murray back healthy would prove to be invaluable for these guys, correct? And then
Correct.
having your role players like your Bruce Browns, Contavious Caldwell Popes, and even Aaron Gordon just proved to be very, very important for this squad because that's how the playoffs went for them. They were so deep and so well coached that they didn't even really have to use Reggie Jackson
Nope.
last season after
I
trading
think he
for
played
him.
one game in his finals.
Yeah, man, and throughout the playoffs, only just spotty minutes. But
Mhm.
they were just very prepared to go out there and do what needed to be done to get the championship. So coming into this season, man, I'm not expecting them to have like a super duper jump in their win totals because last season they didn't even really try toward the end of the season. They was kind of
No.
just coasting into the playoffs because they knew what their goal was. But if Jokic, I mean, obviously this team goes as far as Jokic and Jamal Murray goes. So this season it's gonna be more of the same.
And
That pick and roll is gonna be deadly. Go ahead.
And I was just saying, like, the fact that we didn't really get a big showing from Michael Porter Jr. is even the crazier part. Like, if we come into this season and he refined his craft, like, I don't never think he's gonna be the defensive player he could be. But even if he just give out that effort, if we just see more of that effort, it would be even more. Even though he showed a lot of defense in the finals and the whole playoffs to begin with, he struggled from shooting in it, but he didn't totally when it comes to his position, it wasn't like totally nothing. You wasn't getting nothing at all. And
I
that's
mean,
usually go
in the
ahead.
finals, he showed up in certain
Yeah.
stretches. Like there, I don't think he put together more than maybe one complete game
All
in the
right.
finals, but he showed up. Now he was definitely streaky, and that proved to be almost damning for them because Miami had a couple of opportunities in that finals to
You're right.
steal a game. But hey, Denver did what they supposed to do. They're the champions, so I got number respect for them. We're gonna see how they can bounce back and maybe
Give me a
run it
win
back.
total.
So I'm sticking with maybe with about 55 wins, especially in the Western Conference where you got rejuvenated, refocused Golden State Warriors, a retooled Lakers, the Phoenix Suns looking like they're going to be, as far as if they're healthy, they're going to be the team to beat out West. So I'm giving them between, what they had last season, 53, maybe 55 wins.
Yeah, I'm in the same ballpark. 50 plus. 50 plus. They still to me is the best until I see otherwise. They're the best team in the West. Like you said, the people who you just say, I don't know why I just slipped my mind. You just said the Phoenix Suns is definitely a threat along as with the Los Angeles Lakers. But when it comes to a team and their quality and being coached, I think the Denver got it. Now moving on to the next team, which is I feel like might be the most interesting team next to the Thunder in this whole division, which is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now the Minnesota Timberwolves is almost kind of have a similar season back to back, if I do say my so they always fought into getting to the playoffs. They currently fighting into the playoffs. I know they got into the play in this year. I think they got into the play in last year, if I'm not correct, right?
Yeah, and they played in the first round because they won their
Yep.
playing game, and then they in that first round they gave Denver all they could give handle.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's why I said they wanted to. I say intriguing teams in this division because you know they have a mixture of young and veteran leadership over there. Like you got Ant over there, who's the young bull over there, alongside with Cat, who's in between a vet and a young guy still. And then you got your McDaniels and everything, but then you get your older dudes like Rudy Gobert, which is I still feel like was a move, but
Yeah.
you still can't deny that the man is still a defensive threat at any given time. He's still a what 2-time, 3-time defensive player of the year, so you
Hmm.
can't take that away from him. But
Mike Conley Jr. as well.
Mike Conley Jr. as well. Is Mike Conley still on that team?
Yes, he is.
He's still on that team. So they, like I said, they got a perfect blend of young and veteran leadership over there and talent. And I feel like this is the year they need to take that broad step because they just been in a little bit of limbo. They got new. It's not new this year, but the Alex Rodriguez and everybody that came in a couple years ago became the ownership, and it's about that time they make some big moves in the playoffs. So I feel like this year, I don't know if I'm predicting it, but I feel like they have to have a bigger jump than they have been having the past previous 2 years.
And so here's my thing with the Minnesota Timberwolves. They gave up way too much to grab
Way
Rudy
too much.
Gobert to have the type of season that they had last season. Now, Rudy, it's injuries, happened. Rudy was hurt. And
Rudy
we
was fighting people.
yeah, and honestly, like I'm glad that Anthony Edwards went and got his USA experience under his belt. I'm expecting him to take a step forward. I believe he was an All Star last season. At 22 years old, you can expect more from him. He seems like the type of player that wants to get better, and he has gotten better. I expect to see Nas Reed come out, and we love Nas Reed over here
He
on
just got his contract there too.
Yep. On NBA Central. So and Kyle Anderson, slow mo is a stabilizing force out there as well from the veteran perspective. So I'm just looking for steps forward with these guys, and I think that Carl Anthony Towns is going to come out with a chip on his shoulders. He got a lot of dumb things to say through social media, uh, but he's still a force out there. He's still a major factor for this team. And they're putting him at the 4th position to play next to Rudy Gobert. So we're gonna see how it looks, but I expect them to be better than the 42 wins that they were last season.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like I said, they fighting each other and stuff. And they got his shoe now, so he's gonna be kicking into extra gear. And it's just like they've been around the same. Like even the year prior, I feel like they had a way better season. It wasn't huge. I mean, it was like a 4 game difference. I think they won 46 games, and they won 42 last year. This year, I'm not gonna say they need 50, but they better be at least 48, 39, or close to 50.
Like if
And
they're in the play in, I think the only reason the only way I can accept them being in the play in is if the West plays out the way it did last year, where everybody from 3 through 12 was within 2-3 games of each other. This team very well could have been the 5th or 6th seed to avoid the play in
True.
tournament last season if they didn't falter down the stretch. So I'm just expecting them to just have a 45 to 48 win season this year if everything comes together, and it should. You got enough talent out there. You just got to win those close games that they lost last year.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's spot on. 45 to 48 wins. That's kind of where I'm at, if not 50. So next team after that, I feel like it's probably the most exciting team in this whole division, and the one that could take the biggest jump is the Oklahoma City Thunder. And
Hmm.
Oklahoma City Thunder finished 40-42. That's a little bit below 500. And I think where we really ran into it, it's almost like almost all the young teams we talked about. It just experience hit them at the wrong time. They had lack of experience. So towards the end of the season, they was racking up a lot of losses. And they was
Hmm.
trying to get close to the Lakers. I think it was the Lakers or Sacramento is who they was trying to get close to. But
No, they weren't. They weren't close to Sacramento. Sacramento was one of
oh
the
yeah, but Sacramento was like 3. What am I talking about?
yeah,
But I think yeah, it was Pelicans. That's what
yeah.
it was. It was Pelicans, Lakers, and some other team. And yeah, like I just feel like when it comes to them, they're this is either the year or the next year after this year will be the year that they just take off. They need the talent is everywhere. We just received MVP type of year coming from SGA, and like I said, they got plenty of young talent around. Um, I think they still got Lou Dort. Yeah, they still got Lou Dort. Um, Chet is back finally. Chet is gonna finally be back. And they just have a lot of talent around there. And if they all go together like how we expect them to, hey, 50 wins plus ain't out the ballpark.
I mean, in all honesty, depending on how Memphis comes out the gates without Ja Morant, this team could be like Sacramento was last season, kind of hovering around the upper echelon of the Western Conference if they can put it together. I like Josh Giddey. We know what SGA brings to the table. We're excited to see if Chet Holmgren can not only come out there and make a difference, but be healthy for a whole season.
Facts.
And then they're just, I mean, it's the oldest player on the team is 31, and that's Victor Oladipo. And we know that he still has something in the tank,
Sure. For
if he can
sure.
stay healthy. So it's just gonna be a nice, fun 2K type team. You already know how I feel about these types of teams, man. SGA, he even what stood out the most to me about him last season is that he's all about winning. When LeBron went out there and broke that record, the Oklahoma City Thunder let him have his little celebration and everything, and then he went out there and closed the deal. Like, forget that, fam. And
On
of
me.
course, for whatever reason, LeBron sat out the rest of that game. I guess it was just too much of an emotional
Did
high.
he?
Yeah, you remember he didn't even play the fourth quarter. Um, but yeah, so at the end of the day, man, I like what I see from the Oklahoma City Thunder. I expect them to be better than a play-in tournament team. But again, the way the West shook out last year, it could very well happen again. 40-42 is what they were last year. I expect them to be somewhere around 43 to 45 wins, five to six wins better than what they were because the West is so difficult, honestly.
Yeah, that's the one thing. The West is just like it's hard to pick any of these teams and predict what they're gonna do because the West is so crazy. Like you just said, it was a time period where everybody was neck and neck in a couple of games away, and then it got to a point where some teams separated themselves, and it was just that I believe it was like 3-6 was just right there. It was like a game away, and it was just like, bro, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know who's gonna be in the finals. I don't know who's gonna be in the play in. And by time, like even the ones we predicted a lot of teams to do things. And by time we got to the playoffs, even not even the playoffs, the play in, we was like, well, I didn't expect this to happen. Let's see what's gonna happen.
I mean, with the exception of the Houston Rockets and the San Antonio Spurs, who were completely tanking, every team in the West won more than 30 games. So it's just crazy like that.
Yeah, yeah. But that give me a win total.
Yeah, I said between 43 and 45 wins. I think they're
43
going to
and
be
45.
in that range.
I don't know. I feel like I think it should shoot up to about 45, between 45 and 50.
I mean, because when you look at it, their point differential between points scored and points given up was less than a point. Well, a little bit more than a point. They scored 117 and their opponent scored 116. So
Hmm.
it's like when you look at stuff like that, man, they're right there. If they can push that up a little bit, if they can figure out how to play defense a little bit better, and I expect Chet Holmgren to have a bigger effect on their defensive
I think he's
approach.
gonna have an instant defensive change when it comes to that team.
Exactly. So I think that their point differential jump up a little bit higher, and they should be able to eke out a couple more wins.
Facts. For sure. And yeah, I 100% agree. Now the next team is another, I would say, interesting team because we saw a lot of interesting things last year. So the Utah Jazz. Now the Utah Jazz ended 37-45, but we seen the emergence of Laurie Marketing, who's become, I would say, their franchise player. And then alongside of Laurie Marketing, and I don't I
Jordan
want to say
Clarkson.
it's Jordan Clarkson, but I'm trying to think when that trade happened for Collins. Was it the offseason?
Yeah, I don't think I think it was the off season.
Yeah, but all
Um,
season they made sure they knew they had to add more talent, and they most definitely did. They added John Collins with a trade to Atlanta. which I felt like was a good move. I felt like John Collins didn't really much. He's a talented player, but with the situation going on in Atlanta, I just didn't feel like it fit well. I feel like Utah's more of a better field. So a lot of young players that's ready to run and be athletic, and that's the type of team he needs to be on. Somebody that runs and guns, open floor. He can get out on fast break, catch lobs, even in some way. I'm kind of glad he's next to somebody that's even equal or near his position, Laurie Markkinen, because maybe he can help develop, not help, but maybe he just see the half court game that Laurie has developed and implement it into his. So, what's your initial thoughts on the Jazz?
Man, bro, like I feel like they fizzled out toward the end, whereas teams like Oklahoma City and Minnesota, they rose to the occasion because they were all right there with a month to go. They were all right there within a game or two of each other for those final play-in spots, or even all the way up to the sixth seed. Because people forget that the Lakers were a play-in team as well,
They sure was.
and they made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals. So I like Jordan Clarkson. He's definitely a bucket. Walker Kessler, I feel like that dude came in
Nobody
last
talks
year
about him, bro.
and he was practically a rookie of the year type player in terms of being right there with Vucevic,
He was
and
my second, bro.
he was up there. I'm talking about just
Yeah.
with double doubles in general. He was right up there.
Blocks, everything.
Yes, yes, blocks,
Yeah.
double doubles. So and he's gonna take a step forward this year, next to Laurie Markkinen. So and then of course Colin Sexton, if he can stay healthy, Colin Sexton seems like he should be about 30 years old. My man is only 24. He's only
Nah.
24, bro.
Yeah,
You know,
that I think that's the thing about the NBA. They come in so early. You be like, bro should be like 28 by now. And then he had the injury where he was out almost a year. So it's like, bro, ain't you about 28? And he like, bro, no, I'm 24.
I'm
What?
telling you, and low key, they're kind of like the Orlando Magic. They got a lot of
Facts.
size with the John Collins situation, adding him to marketing Olenek as well, and Walker
I
Kessler.
forgot about Olenek. Yeah.
Yes.
And you was talking about versatility last night. Like, bro, there's so many like you can put Laurie at a three now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the crazy part. Like, so now you got almost 3 7-footers on the floor.
Yeah, I mean they can definitely go big. Man, so I see them taking a step forward. But if they take a step forward, that means that one of the teams that we just discussed might have to take a step back. And it might be Minnesota. Like
It
we
might be.
or because
Yeah.
I don't see it being Oklahoma City. Obviously Denver not gonna really take a step back. They're gonna be hungry unless they have a championship hangover. But it might be Minnesota that that falls back, and Utah takes their place.
Yeah, that's only if they figure it out. Because, like I said, I still when it comes to Minnesota, I think that just they get too many vets. So when
Yep.
it comes down to them crucial games, especially if they going against each other, I can see Minnesota winning out those games. But yeah, I kind of feel like I won't expect a huge jump. I really expect like 3 more wins. So
Yeah, at
about
least
40.
40. Yeah, at least
Yeah.
40. Because it's the same thing. Now, they had a situation where they were averaging 117 and their opponents were averaging 118. So they were minus a point pretty much. And then they finished 2-8. As opposed, like if they finish in 2-8 in your last 10 games, that's really what put them out of the play-in, out of the playoffs. If they can have a
Mm-hmm.
stronger finish to the season, there's no reason why they can't be the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Minnesota Timberwolves from last year. But I do have them sitting at about 40 wins for the year, if they can figure things out.
Yeah. I cannot say I disagree. Now the final team here, to make this very quickly, we talked about him the last few days because hey, some moves has been made. So as y'all know, the Trailblazers no longer have Damian Leonard. They have traded him to the Milwaukee Bucks, but in return, they've gotten Kamara back and a young center named DeAndre Ayton. Now, with and as long with Drew Holiday, I always
Hmm.
forget. I don't know why I always forget Drew in this package,
That's
but Drew
because he's
Holiday.
he's not going to stay there. They're
And
going to
yeah,
they're
that's
going
really
to
what it
trade
is.
him.
They're thinking about instantly flipping him, which is not a bad idea. But if I'm a Portland Trailblazer executive, hey, I'm keeping him. I got
Me
too
too.
many guards and I got too many young dudes on this team that don't have any veteran advice. And if you want Jeremy Grant to be my only vet, no,
They gonna trade Jeremy Grant too. They just can't do it until after, because he
they
signed the
just
contract.
paid him.
Yeah, but you know how it goes. You've seen it happen.
Hey,
If they're going into complete rebuild mode, and if Jeremy Grant comes out and has anything close to, um, I guess a acknowledgeable stats wise season, then he's going to be on the radar for other teams that's contending. Because I don't expect Portland to win much, even though they have DeAndre Jordan. Now, if they keep Drew Holiday, it could be kind of like a Chris Paul situation where he goes
true.
to a team that's not expected to do much and helps them figure out how to win. He's a champion. Now, not that Chris Paul is a champion, but Chris Paul has a champion's heart at least, right?
Hmm.
And Drew Holiday plays defense. That could work wonders for Scoot Henderson. Um, I'm I like what Portland has done in terms of getting what the best return that they could for Damian Lillard. Because DeAndre Ayton and Drew Holiday are nothing to sneeze at. They're
At
no
all.
slouches. And honestly, it's really gonna be Anthony Simons and Scoot Henderson. How are they gonna gel? I like Matisse Thybulle as well from a defensive standpoint. Being on this team, they have a lot of versatility as well. It's just not gonna be enough to put them over the hump in the Western Conference. If
Yeah.
this team was playing in the Eastern Conference, we're looking at maybe a 40-win team. But because they're in the Western Conference, they're gonna hover,
Around the
especially
same. I say the
yep,
same, like
yeah, between
33.
30 to 33 wins, especially if they get rid of Drew Holiday and Jeremy Grant at some point in the season, then they might find themselves in the 20s as far
Yeah.
as wins concerned.
Yeah, because I mean, I do expect if anybody can get DeAndre Ayton to unlock, it might be Chauncey, but I don't think it's gonna be this year. I think Chauncey needs a full year to fully understand the type of person DeAndre is, so he understand how he could attack him in the offseason to create him to become a better center. But also, it also depends on if he just come in on a different mindset. Because we all know for I say a good year that we knew DeAndre was not happy in Phoenix. Um, they didn't want to pay him, but they eventually did, and even then, you can still tell there's some hostility around him. And I don't know if you went speaking of 2K. I don't know if you've seen it yesterday. Like, not even an hour after the trade was announced, this man was on 2K with his avatar with some Blazers gear on. I said, "Well, damn." But hey, it is what it is. But I'm with you. I feel like they're gonna stay around the same 30 to 33 wins.
Yeah, man, and I expect. I mean, my expectations for him aren't the same because if he would have stayed in Phoenix, if DeAndre Ayton would have shot less than 70%, he needed to be cut. But being over here in Portland, he needs to be that centerpiece in terms of his position.
Hmm.
I don't expect them because I know they're going to want to develop Scoot. They're going to put the ball in Scoot's hands, and we know what Anthony Simons can do. But with him being the third guy, especially if they get rid of Drew Holiday, he's gonna have to go out there and at least try to do 20 and 10. Like he needs to be because besides Joker and Embiid, the next tier of centers in the league give you 18 and 8,
Hmm.
19 and 9 type stuff. So if you're not getting that, if you're not playing better than Valachunas, DeAndre Ayton as a former number one overall pick, if you're not playing at least on par with Nikola Vucevic, then you got work to do, especially with expanding your range. Because
Hmm.
today's big man has to be a threat from the
You at
three-point
least got to
line.
have a 15-footer, bro.
Yeah, at least a something, a mid-range jumper to stretch the floor. And in Arizona, he had that. He wasn't afraid to put the ball on the floor to create, to shoot. And once he got to the league, it seems like he put all of that in
Dude
his
was
in a
looking like
suitcase.
Giannis in college, bro.
Exactly. So it's like, dude, you're still only like 24, 25 years old. Go out there and prove that you have what it takes to elevate your game. Because I remember Brooke Lopez didn't have no three-point shooting package, but now
And
he
now he
does.
got a fajita.
Exactly. So go out there, man, advance your game, improve your game. Now that you're not on a championship contender, and no pressure really on you, take care of business.
And there y'all have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is our prediction for the Northwest Division in the NBA. But of course, we want to hear what y'all predictions is. Y'all let us know what y'all feel like these teams will end up being. This is your boy Steve O Speaks with my boy Kev, and we'll be back with y'all soon. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.